When you have autism, your senses are quite different. You hear things louder, you see things brighter. It's like the difference between a person wearing sunglasses versus not wearing sunglasses. The person with sunglasses see things a little differently. Sometimes you can see things brighter, hear things louder, smell things a little more, and sometimes your senses are hypersensitive, or sometimes they're hyposensitive, which means that you don't hear things as well. You're sometimes half deaf or half blind. And sensory issues can occur because your senses are working differently. In my case, I'm really bothered by fire drills. Fire drills in school really traumatized me. The sound was very startling and very painful, to the point where, when I was in high school, I actually went to a fire marshal and said to this marshal, look, fire drills bother me. My body really has a hard time functioning in them. So tell me, Mr. Marshall, what workplaces have fire drills and what workplaces don't? And he honestly told me what the fire drill regulations were and the requirements for different places and different institutions, because that helped me choose what I was going to do out of high school. I knew I could not work in a workplace that had fire drills. And in fact, that is one thing that has not changed for me. No matter how old I've gotten, from childhood to adulthood, fire drills are still traumatic for me.
I could not stand the touch of paper, nor did I like the sound of pencils or chalkboards for that matter. Currently, with sensory issues, I'm almost over the paper and pencil issue. When I was younger, I was not able to write with a pencil at all.
Noise and lights and being close to other people, crowds were very, very upsetting to him when he was small. We have train tracks just, I don't know, maybe half a mile over from us. And when he would hear the train whistle, he'd start crying. And it wasn't that loud. It wasn't, I mean, it could be loud on certain nights, but I mean, it's across a highway and we've got sound barrier walls, so, but the train would make him cry. Thunder and lightning terrified him. Bright lights would, make him cry. He needed earplugs for a lot of things. He would just get up and walk out of movies, and we couldn't figure out why, until we realized that when he could verbalize more what was going on with him, the sound is too loud. We never even caught on to that until he could actually verbalize to us, it's too loud.
What might be interesting to some is to talk about my martial arts experience. I started doing MMA and jiu-jitsu. I don't have sensory issues when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I was motivated to learn, so it wasn't really an issue for me. And martial arts has been a very positive influence on me. It's helped me get so much stronger in every aspect of my life. I also enjoy swing dancing and ballroom dancing. It does involve some loud music, but in my opinion, the music is good as opposed to the hip-hop dubstep stuff that's just designed to be loud instead of good. With sensory sensitivity, some tactile stuff can include not liking certain types of clothing. I don't think I've ever liked dressing formal, and part of that is I went to a private school with school uniforms for elementary school. Some sensory stuff can be very pleasurable, like fans or rocking, in a chair or a swing. But when we're talking about sensory sensitivity, it's usually referring to stuff that's annoying or painful. Places like malls, schools, playgrounds, or supermarkets, they can all just be a source of sensory overload for the kid. It could be the noises, the smells, the lights, or just there's so many people and so much going on and it just overwhelms them. Sometimes it's maturity or just growing up or getting used to it, and sometimes there's stuff you can do. So to figure out what you can do, just talk with the person with Asperger's and figure out what things are, or sounds or whatever, are annoying or painful. And then see if you can come up with a solution. It could be something you have to do, like putting oil on a hinge or felt on a chair leg, or sometimes mental preparation, just telling them what they're going to hear ahead of time so they can brace themselves and mentally prepare for it, like knowing a fire drill is going to happen. Finding the right kind of clothing can be difficult, but removing tags can help. With hygiene, it sucks, but I think parents just got to keep hammering the issue, because you're never going to be popular if you have bad hygiene, even if you're the best conversationalist in the world. Sorry, that's just reality. Sometimes with mental preparation, that can help the kid just know what to expect, and then maybe practicing it too can help. Another thing with noise, in conversation, a lot of Aspies, including myself, find it difficult to focus if there's more than one conversation
So
going
this
on.
one time, my friend
We
and I
aren't
were
able to
required
change
to
stuff
work.
out,
And at our
so it's
both
difficult
campus
to know
house,
what
we
to
were looking
focus
around
on
for stuff,
because
and we
stuff
opened
comes
the
in at the
closet,
same
and there was a
level.
giant pair of clown shoes.
Asperger's is a disorder that creates social deficiencies, and there's actual science as to why those deficiencies exist. It's not just being shy. Scientists have used neuroimaging technology to figure out which parts of the brain are wired differently. One part that has structural and functional abnormalities is the amygdala, which is in charge of recognizing and regulating emotions. Alexithymia is what it's called when a person has difficulty recognizing, processing, and expressing emotions. Another fancy-sounding symptom is prosopagnosia, also known as face blindness.
Face blindness. Some of us have that. We are not able to recognize people because of how they look, and make that. We're not. It's just the intensity of looking at people's faces, looking at people's eyes, and we feel there's intensity of that person's spirit and so forth, and so we tend not to make a whole lot of eye contact and or making recognition with others through what that person looks like. So it's just part of that, not that living within and not focusing on that interaction with other people. I, as anybody on the spectrum, lack a certain degree of objectivity. There's this expectation that people have, about expressing emotions, expressing different feelings and so forth. I'm still don't have the insight of knowing what that's like, living differently. When I am engaging in an argument, say with my wife or something, when I get to that emotional level, I'll stay there. It's like boiling water. When boiling water gets hot, it stays hot. You know what I'm saying? And she can move on. And other people, neurotypicals can move on. They can move on to other things. And I'm like, still, come on, And it'll take a while for it to run through my system. And from that emotional aspect, I don't know what that is. I just notice it's different. And I notice it's different from other people on the spectrum, which leads me to the other aspect of things is that it's just weird when a person or somebody else can say to you that they love you. It's like, we just need to hear that. It's like, okay, oh, you still love me? And is that affirmation, and it's not just not hearing it. It's like, oh, I'm still lovable. And we need that. Again, it's a part of that structure that we need to get from the outside. Is that we are still lovable, is that people are still capable of loving us. And when we hear that, it's like, stops you in your tracks. Like, wow. Even though you knew it intellectually, it's hard things we know intellectually, but that that social interaction, somebody says they love you, it's like, oh, okay. And it's hard to put into words, but it's a part of that expression that's just weird, being on a spectrum.